So you've picked the bird. I've had the pleasure of sinking about 40 plus hours into Nightreign and have exclusively mained this poultry with a purpose. I've been able to beat every boss so far with him, and I feel like I can share some of my learned knowledge upon all y'all on how I think this bird with gravity issues is best played. Keep in mind, I'm not saying this is de facto the best way to play the Guardian, but these are the tips that helped me turn him from a feathered punching bag into an extremely helpful tank support hybrid. What is your purpose? The Guardian is best suited to be an absolute immovable unit, a Giga Chad goose in armor, if you will. Your role as the Guardian is to be an impenetrable wall that Donald Trump would be proud of, while also having some support utility in your back pocket. This character can still do some great damage, but it's best played with the mindset that you are there to allow your teammates as many openings as possible so that they can play the game with one hand while looking at Revenant, you freaks, while doing damage to whatever dared cross your path. You're meant to look like an irresistible snack to the boss, and to punish him when he tries to touch the merchandise one too many times. Let's go over the Guardian's abilities. His main ability is Whirlwind, where he flaps his wings and creates whirlwind. I don't know what you expected. This ability is great at staggering small enemies and even some small bosses by throwing them into the air and letting your team beat their ass harder than a GTA hooker you just picked up off the street. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but being honest, I hardly use this on bigger bosses. I find that it's just not worth your time in any meaningful way, and the boss that's currently turning your ass to grass while you wind it up would agree. This is the strongest thing you have as the bird. Like, duh, no shit, it's his ultimate, of course it's strong. And yet I see players not taking full use of its potential. I like to think of this as a free oh shit button when the fight isn't going as well. When activated, the Guardian will decide he's not afraid of heights anymore, launch himself into the air, and come crashing down with some great damage. If used on enemies, it hurts and staggers them worse than your father saying they're disappointed in you. If used on your allies, it can be used as an instant revive. If your downed allies and the bosses are close enough together, you get a 2-in-1 combo. Seems pretty simple, but the thing I see used incorrectly all the time is that when you land, you can hold the activation button and maintain a field around you that will negate all damage to your allies while they remain inside. It doesn't last long, but it's incredibly handy, and it gets better with relics. Something to keep in mind is that these abilities are just for the base stats. We're about to tweak them a little bit and make them just a bit better. So for relics, there's a couple of things that I look for when it comes to bonuses. Typically, I look for things like stat boosts, taunting mechanics, and Guardian exclusive buffs. I recommend using the Witch's Brooch. Brooch? Brooch?
Brooch.
I don't know. I recommend using the Witch's Brooch. Brooch? Fuck, that thing. Unfortunately, it can only be obtained by completing the Guardian storyline, but it's borderline essential to optimizing this beaked bastard. This, for one, turns your ultimate from being S to Z tier. The Witch's Brooch lets your ultimate heal your allies basically to full, while negating all damage while they stand inside your ability's field. This insanely buffs an already busted ultimate and turns this tin turkey into a secondary support. Second to that, it also lets you deal damage by holding your shield up. I know, it's crazy. Guardian has a unique ability that's given to him that if timed properly, when you dodge an incoming attack while holding your shield up, it will do a burst AoE attack that will do a small chunk of damage and keep some aggro on you. I used to just sit there and let the bosses have it Mike's way with me while I just took it, but now you can take it and give a little back to Mike himself. The other main relic I recommend is the Knight of the Champion relic you get from defeating the Dark Drift Night boss. That extra stamina boost is so helpful when you're just getting bent over behind your shield, but it also boosts your counterattack power. For the last slot, you can really use whatever you want. But I recommend using something like the one I've got here that allows you to taunt the boss like you just told it you hammer-fucked its mother, as long as you've got your shield up. This just helps keep the boss on you for a bit longer while your squad is giving him the impromptu rectal exam from behind. For gear, it's a little more subjective because the game allows you to somewhat play whatever style you want. The Guardian is definitely best suited for halberds and spears, so I tend to be on the lookout for those above all other weapons. They just give you so much range to punish your enemies, while your mobility feels like it has whiskey dick on a Tuesday night. You're not really going anywhere. For shields, it's real simple. I like the one I start with. There are others like it, but this one is mine. I've learned that for the most part, it's not too difficult to just buff the basic shield to max, and leaving that extra ash slot on your weapon, which in turn lets you have a little more fun with damage if you want to do that. There are a lot of other good shields there. They're just so far and few between, I feel like, that it's really just not worth your time to consistently be on the lookout for them. Lastly, to fill out the gear slots, I'm looking really for anything that boosts damage negation, guard buffs, or stat buffs. There are a lot of other abilities that are quite useful in this game, but the ones above are huge when it comes to you surviving the final boss trying to fondle your butt trumpet and being an absolute wall that rivals the Great One in China. I like to remind myself from time to time that it's okay not to be doing damage at every microsecond you can while playing the Guardian. Yes, it's very tempting to just mash R1 like it's a Mario Party minigame, but I feel like I get way more value of tanking and counterattacking my enemies. The longer you master this playstyle, the faster and more often you will find yourself noticing the openings to do the damage you want, I promise. This is kind of just a personal point of mine, but don't throw out your ultimate to see big numbers on a screen for the late game or final bosses. 90% of the time, you will have 2 other high damage dealing teammates that can fill that role for you, unless you're like the 10% trying to play a flightless chicken like me. Let your teammate have the badass big number moments, and you can be their savior when their ferocious appetite leaves them gaping and gasping on the ground because they got a little too greedy and the boss decides it's his turn to top. Your big moment is saving your allies. I can't tell you how many runs that I have saved just by saving my ultimate for when shit goes south. Alright, there you go. Go play the bird. He's a lot of fun once you learn what his role is, and you should know now because I just told you what it was. You'll find his playstyle addictive and entertaining.